So what actually makes a person attractive? Is it money? Is it looks? Is it swag? What is it? Well, I think attractiveness and being attractive to another person can be summed up in one simple word, and that is value. Because human beings, we're moved by our subconscious mind, our reptile brain, so to say, which is optimizing for our chances of survival. Okay. And most people are not aware of this, right? So in modern times, that part of our brain is still completely active. Okay. And so that's the part of our brain that dictates truly whether something is of value of us. So value is what we as human beings move toward, right? And how do we decide if something is valuable or not? Well, what's the essential filter for that? It is whether this thing increases or decreases our chances of survival. Does it make us feel more safe and get more status, etc.? Because that by second hand, right, increases our chances of survival, or does it decrease it? And so if you think about the butterflies in your stomach when you're dealing with a person, right, and the other way around, then that comes from a value gap, essentially, okay? And so it's funny because in relationships, there's often this talk, and by the way, when I speak about this, I'm not just talking about male-female dynamics, right? For all you out there, I'm talking about any context you can apply this to. These are high-level social skills that you can absolutely apply to your sales context, to your networking, even to friendships, all right? 100%. Because in any relationship, and once again, not just romantic, there's always one person that likes the other person more. There's always one person that's more excited about seeing the other person the other way around, okay? And so this might be because then every fucking buddy and their mother is going to say again, oh no, that's not true. You know, you can be the same, 50-50, whatever. I'm like, listen, it's not like it's like 80-20 in all cases or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is like, it can literally be 51-49, but it can never be an exact 50-50, right? And it can also shift. Hey, during a couple months, it was like 60-40 on this side, and now it's like 40-60. You get it? So it can also shift. And nothing is ever lost, okay? Because every single behavior that you do, every single thing that you say, the way that you say it, or the thing that you don't do, whatever, okay, that speaks value or no value, right? It speaks a certain level of value about yourself. And it establishes the value dynamic, the relational context between you and that other person, okay? Anything and everything you do, the way you shake someone's hand, the way that you speak, how loud you speak, how soft you speak, at everything, okay? And so you can always go from a position where you're inferior and shift that into a position where you're superior, okay? And it's not that difficult, but it all starts with changing your mind, because you got to understand that a lot of people, they're going to hear those things that I just said. Okay, how you shake someone's hand, how loud you speak, etc., etc. And they're going to think like, oh yeah, I'm going to start shaking people's hands more hard. Okay, they're going to watch some Donald Trump compilation and they're going to fucking yank someone's goddamn arm across the room. And it's not going to work. Okay, why? Because it's going to seem like compensating behavior. Okay, because ultimately you have to shift how you feel about yourself. And if you truly feel that you deserve that person, that friend, that business deal, whatever it may be, okay, then you're going to start acting accordingly. So in truth, it is not an outside in approach. It's more so an inside out approach, meaning that you have to change your own mentality about how you feel on the totem pole internally. And then that's going to be communicated outwards, and other people will act in accordance to that because of your subcommunication. It's very hard to fake that, okay? But there is a way to kind of fake into it. And that is by stepping into that mental position and being and acting and behaving from there. And then automatically, you're going to get closer and closer to that point. You're going to make it a new default program in your mind that you're coming from high value, that you are a person that is this, right? And affirmations and visualizations and assuming this identity, okay, can all help with that, right? There's no one trick that's the best. It's just about getting new data points into your mind that are going to allow you to truly feel like you are an attractive person and to truly feel like you deserve another person. Like, can I tell you one thing? A lot of people say like, okay, to attract another person, right? And that is once again, even because some guys, they mistake this, but even guys, other dudes that you feel are like way above you, okay, in whatever context, or just as people that are like way more confident and cool, you're not going to be able to be normal around them if you have that in your mind, that sub hierarchy, right? And so this applies across the board. Even if you're trying to close a deal and this other entrepreneur, you're like, shit, I'm nervous, I'm anxious because of XYZ. I see myself as lower. And by the way, the fact that someone makes more money than you and you're talking to someone in a business context, that doesn't mean at all that you should see yourself as lower than people, because the strongest reality always wins. It doesn't matter what reality. It matters what's the strongest reality and who has the strongest reality. Okay, and that's the one that's going to win. So you could be a guy working at fucking McDonald's and some guy, some millionaire can come in, right? I could come in with a hot ass chick and I could think I'm all the man, right? I'm the fucking man. And I'm coming in. And then you're just serving me and my girl. And then, you know, you just start kind of like joking around, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And you're just, saying some shit and just joking around. And we're like, what do you do outside this? Oh, yo, man, I just enjoy life. I'm not one of those stuck up people that is just caring about money, this and that. So that's your reality, right? You're kind of like more of a hippie type dude. And you're kind of, just being the type of guy who's, just enjoying life. And you're framing me now as someone who's stuck up, who is like, just, oh, you need all this money, you need all this, success and stuff because you don't feel good about it. You're framing me as an inferior person, even though in an absolute value sense, I would have more quote unquote value. But you could win that battle. You could beat me. You could take my chick from me, right? Just because if you have a stronger reality, that's the frame that's going to win. So it doesn't actually matter what the frame or what the reality is. It matters who's the strongest. And it matters that you have the most certainty within that. Okay, in a sales context, people always say the people with the most certainty is going to override what the other person's beliefs are. Okay, so if you're really certain that your product works and someone else is not that certain yet, but you're just going to override their belief with your certainty. Okay, so once again, it's not about what's right, what's wrong. It's not about what's true and what's not true, because obviously there is actually a Bible, but there is not actually some Bible that says, right, this XYZ is how you should be, and this XYZ is what is cool. And actually it is funny because there are cultural standards for things, right? Like, oh, you need to be slim and this and that. But actually, if you go back 100, 200 years, then you would see that, images or paintings of women from back in the day, they were fat as fuck, okay? I ain't never touching that with a 10-foot fucking pole, okay? So that just shows you that was the beauty standard at that point in time. And why? Because it showed wealth if you had enough to eat, okay? And then there were fat pieces of shit. But that's what was attractive back in the day. And there's more examples like that. So it's not actually that being a big booty Latina makes you qualified to be a hot girl nowadays, okay? It's actually just that... It's actually just that is the current state, right? So, and by the way, that's just a joke, but it's like the current state of, what is an attractive woman is obviously, probably a Western blonde woman with that's, not, too curvy, but like, kind of model looking. So that's probably the standard, right? And for guys, it's probably kind of the James Bond kind of guy, right? Like probably the white guy with the slick hair or whatever. So anyways, there's standards for these things, but that doesn't mean that it's actually true, right? Because once again, 100, 200 years ago, fat chicks were in fashion, were like the attractive thing. So the whole reason I'm telling you this whole side story is to make it clear that the limiting belief that you most likely have of like why you can't be attractive to people and why you can't be confident with anyone is because like, oh, you have these stories, you tell yourself these stories of like, oh, I need to be XYZ to be attractive. And what I can tell you is that there's a lot of guys that get XYZ. So they get the money, because personally, I made a couple million myself. You probably don't know me because this is a new channel. And this is just a channel where I speak about self-development topics, confidence, and social skills and whatnot, because I could talk about this forever. But I roll in a lot of high level circles like that. And I can tell you that most dudes, they just have no idea what they're doing in that regard. And they're just been working at this whole thing to get all of these external things to then feel like they're the man, but they're still not actually feeling like they're the man because they're dependent on those external things. So anyways, let's get back to the topic of the actual video a little bit. The attraction. What is it actually? Well, what creates the attraction is a relative value gap between you and the other person. It is essentially the feeling that the other person is above you, right? And when you have that, above you in value. Okay, once again, what is value? That is anything that increases your chances of survival, but that can also just be relative value. Like if you speak to another person, there's always one person that speaks in a manner that kind of indicates that he's the leader, right? Within that context, within a sales conversation. If you've been in sales or whatever, then you know that like, if you're not the quote unquote alpha, as much as I hate that kind of word, in the conversation, you're never going to close the deal. Or if you're going to close the deal, it's not going to be on your terms. Okay. And that rule and that principle, it goes for any fucking relationship. Because if you're in any relationship, not the leader within that context, you're not going to enjoy a relationship that's fully on your terms. Now, it can be, again, right, the point, it can be 51, 49, whatever, but you have to be the leader as the man, obviously. Right? I'm speaking pretty much to men in this video, if you haven't noticed yet. So anyways, even though women could benefit from this as well. So that is what attraction is, right? And so you can have that relative value, even though in an absolute value context, you might be way less valuable than that other person, okay? So it's not just about who has the most money or who is the best looking or whatever. It's more so about who is the most confident in this relational context. Because confidence ultimately is the biggest signal of value. Because if you, like someone could have all this value, could be a celebrity, okay, this, that, and the other thing. But then if you're within that context, the person that is more confident and that, you know, just by sub-communication, it looks like that person has more value, right? Then you're just going to have the room. You're going to be the leader within that room. I'll give you another example, right? Some guys that are celebrities, then when they're rolling with a dude that is from the hood and like, you know, has that kind of side, they don't have any success, but they're just the dangerous kind of guy. Then all of a sudden, they're that's like the leader in there because they are attributing value to that, right? And then they're like, that's kind of that guy's edge, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean what it exactly is. But what I will say to counter this point is that those things absolutely help tremendously, okay? If you're famous, you have a ton of social proof. If you're, you know, rich, obviously that signals also certain characteristics. And to be fair, it does give you an aura as well, right? If you're rich and you know how to spend, right? And you know how to carry yourself and you know how to position yourself, it gives you an aura, it gives you extra attractiveness. I'm just saying, all of that you can have and you can still not be attractive. But you can have none of that and you could still be attractive. You get what I mean? So you can have confidence and you can then be attractive, but you cannot, if you have all those other things, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're attractive, but they're boosts, okay? And one thing you also gotta understand is that if you rely on your looks or if you rely on your money or whatever, just to get, you know, women or to get people or whatever, if you lead with that, then that's also not gonna be fruitful for your long-term best relationships, right? Because in that aspect, you're not leading with your personality. You're not leading with your confidence. You're not leading with who you truly are and what makes you unique. And you got to also understand that who you are as a person, that is ultimately the biggest value that you have, right? Because you're a unique person and nobody can be you better than you can be you. And this is a big lesson because a lot of people try to be someone else, but they're not so good at being someone else. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean that you should be yourself in terms of your insecure little bitch self who plays video games all day, right? But it's like your true personality. Who are you when you're completely comfortable around friends or completely comfortable around family? What kind of charisma, what kind of jokes do you have then at that point? I'm just going to give you an example, right? My kind of humor is a very narcissistic, kind of like over top narcissistic kind of humor, right? you know, I'll give you a couple examples. Like I was with a girl on a date, and then we went back to my hotel and stuff, and then she blah 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 blah. She's like, "Oh, do you really like me?" Blah blah. I was like you? I just spent 3 fucking hours with you, right? And obviously we just went on a date. So for most people that'd be normal, right? And I'm saying this, and to be fair, it's like half true, but it's like for me, but it's actually such a ridiculous statement. And I have not heard the end of it, okay? Because it's like I'm just saying that I just spent 3 hours with you as a flex, right? Which for for women is like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's like normal. That's like the bare minimum, spending time. Anyways, or I always say this funny ass shit to me where, I put this stupid ass comment out there that like I look like Brad Pitt. I know, look, I honestly always hold the character of this joke because it's just too fucking funny to me. But I'm gonna tell you guys, obviously I don't fucking look like Brad Pitt, okay? I know. But it's just so hilarious to me because I'll put this up on Instagram and maybe I'll B-roll it here real quick. And then all these people go like, dude, are you serious? Dude, you don't look like Brad Pitt. Yada, yada, yada. All these people get so fucking straight. It's just so goddamn funny to me. So anyways, that is an example of my kind of charisma and my kind of humor. It's just ridiculously narcissistic, right? And I'm only slightly narcissistic, right? So anyway, you got to think about what is that for you? Yeah. What makes you, you? What do you truly find funny, right? What are your strongest opinions and that kind of stuff, right? And so you can only be that. And I'll give you another example. Look at like a guy like Elon Musk, right? He is not charismatic, but yet he is very charismatic, right? He's not the typical, like he can't even speak properly. He's stuttering all the time and that kind of shit, but it's his thing, right? It makes him good. And anyways, I'm not saying that is necessarily what to exactly model, but you can take some elements of it. Now, let's also, be fair and say this guy's the richest fucking guy in the world or something. So he probably has an advantage or two, but you can still take something from it, right? So ultimately, the way you behave, the way you speak, the way at anything and everything that you do communicates how much you value yourself and whether you feel like you deserve the other person or not. So the only thing, I didn't finish this loop first, the only thing you actually need to connect with any person is to feel like you deserve to connect with them and to feel like you're the prize and to feel like you're a person who, who they should be happy to connect with. If you genuinely actually believe that, then it's going to be so easy to make that happen, right? And then obviously you still have the localized confidence kind of thing. Like if you've never talked to a stranger or something, you can believe that you're the shit, but it's still going to be kind of like, oh, because you've never done it, right? So that's just getting comfortable with discomfort. But I'm talking about the deeper principle here. Because if you think about it like this, like let's say that you have to go and talk to a stranger and you have to approach this person, but you have the winning and you get to give them the winning lottery ticket to 10 million bucks. You're probably not going to have no fucking anxiety about it, right? Because you know that it's going to be a win for them. You know that it's going to be a massive fucking win for them. And you know that how happy they're going to be with that. Now, first, as you approach them, you know that they might not respond well right away because they don't know yet the price that you're about to give them. And so that is the mental frame that you need to be at, right? You're going to cold call a business and they're going to fucking shut you down, but you cannot take that as feedback and let it influence your beliefs. You have to be so certain that you override that negative feedback, and because you know and you are aware of timelines. You are aware of the timeline that it takes about 10 minutes to get into a spot where they're actually, oh shit, this might actually be something that could help me, right? Or if you approach a person you like, right? Same kind of idea. There's a timeline that you have to go through before a person sees your value. And so I see some people on the internet say like, oh yeah, if you approach a person, then it's like, if they don't like me instantly, then I'm out the door. I'm like, bro, then you're basically just asking a person to judge you on your superficial standards. And let's say that we're talking about male-female dynamics. Only guys do that, because guys judge women by their looks, and women judge guys. Well, some of them may judge them by their looks, but largely they judge them by their personality, by their confidence, and by their, to be fair, also their accomplishments and who they are as a person and what they have achieved in life, right? Those kinds of things, but more so, right? More so things that you need to like express over time. And once again, then people can say like, yeah, you could just wear a RM, a Richard Mille, right? And you can shortcut that thing. And I would agree that would help, right? But it's not necessarily like if you do that, that you're going to be in the door, because that's, once again, something that can help, but not the only thing. And I see a lot of people that are either all the way on the left side of the spectrum, like, oh yeah, you don't need any of that shit, or on the right side of the spectrum, where they're like, well, that's the only thing that matters. Nothing of that is true, okay? Everything in life is ultimately a wide spectrum where you can find the sweet spot, right? Between where you have the balance between, okay, you have a deep personality, you have things to say, you're wise, okay, you're confident, you're extremely certain, you know what you want, and you know who you are. You don't try to convince people to like you, you're just yourself, and you attract people that self-select into that. But at the same time, you don't give up if someone doesn't like you after you just say your name, because there's more to you than just your name, right? Because otherwise you're just being judged on your looks and your fantastic beard, like I have. So anyways, there's a sweet spot in everything, and there's a spectrum in everything. So things are never black and white, okay? But people like to make it that because it's difficult to understand nuanced truths that lie alongside a spectrum from left to right, from Republican to Democrat, etc., etc., etc. So that's my point for this video. If you like this, then go ahead and check out the description. And what you can do is book a chat with me, okay? I'll pop a link down below. And we can chat about me helping you in a one-on-one basis, coach you on this stuff. And what I'm going to help you do is, in the next couple of weeks or the next 2 months or so, get that extreme confidence, figure out who you truly are and where you need to go in life to get results, right? Obviously, that includes your confidence, your personal development, your business, and everything that we need. And it's more of a personalized thing. So, as I said, this channel is just a passion thing for me, right? I love talking about these deep topics, and it doesn't really fit on my business channel where I talk about how to make money online and this and that. And so if you enjoyed this, then, feel free to book a chat with me down below and check out some more info about working me in a one-on-one basis. And besides that, I hope it helped, and I'll see you in the next one.